Right, welcome to this tactics and showcase video. It's for, I would say, the most important unit I have in my new Eldar list, and that is the Shining Spears. As you can see, I've got a bigger unit. I've invested in some more to make my unit of 5 into a unit of 9. They're a decent unit when they're at 5, but I really wanted to invest in them and make them really good. So in this video we'll cover unit size and structure, weapons, upgrades, and as many hints and tips and little tricks that you can use to make the most out of these. And if you watch the battle reports that are already out there for the brand new list for the Eldar, and then future games of these, keep a lookout for the Shining Spears. They are sort of, well, the key unit for my new Eldar list. So if they do well, hopefully the whole of the army will do well. But so the opponent's going to try and go for them. So this, what I want to show you in this video here is to show you how to try and protect them as much as possible as well. So it's a showcase as well. We'll take a look at the models also in this video, zoom in and give you an idea of how I painted the models and what they look like painted up. It's not the usual colour scheme. I've gone for sort of an orange and black colour as opposed to the usual white and blue, which is sort of the official colour for Shining Spears that Games Workshop have. So 9 of them then. There's the Exarch, and my original 5 that I've had for years, a good long time. You can see the difference of these. They've got the rods that come up at the back here. I found these on eBay in lead, but they didn't come with the rods at the back, but it doesn't really matter. I think they match in just nice. These are the new 4 that I've painted up fresh, so that makes the unit of 9 like so. But that's quite a presence on the table. That's a big unit once they're all on their bases and mounted up. So visually, you know, they are going to attract a lot of attention, and the opponent's going to be wanting to deal with them because they're a nasty unit for sure, as we'll see. So I'm going to zoom in here. We'll take a closer look at some of these models, how I've painted them up, and give you an idea of how they look as well. So this is just one of the regular Shining Spears. I use some transfers. You can see this is from the Eldar transfer sheet, sort of the bigger one that you get in with the vehicles and so on. Again, from the Eldar transfer sheet. I think that's an older transfer. That one's just one of the older models here. I couldn't find that on the newer transfer sheet, but that one's with it. Enhanced, those are a bit more extra yellow, so that the transfer goes onto the back. It doesn't look too strong, so I actually paint that with some yellow paint just to make it stronger. That one there. So that's about all the transfers there is, just here, here and here, but it just adds a bit of authenticity to the model, I think. Nice Eldar sort of feel to it. And then just show you another one. That's actually the same one. You see the shoulder pad design just there. We'll pull out a different one here. This one here. So you can see it's not all orange. There's some red gems and some blue gems painted onto these as well, just to change things up a bit. I'll give you an overhead view of the shape, and then we'll bring out the Exarch here with his star lance. Just a better lance that he's equipped with, like so. And then the basing here, if you like the way the basings come out, this sort of urban feel, a bit of grass and so on, and the effects, all the highlighting and so on, there is an urban basing tutorial on YouTube on the channel, so you can check that out, and that'll show you specifically how to get these kind of results for your basing. I don't plan on doing a painting tutorial for these because I've already painted the 9 that I need, so I might maybe just run through how I painted these. So I would spray them white, use the Games Workshop Skull White spray. Just take it off of the base there. That sprays it all white. That gives you a nice bright foundation. Then I use the same process as I use for most of my miniatures, 3 stages. Base colours, you choose your main base colours, then the washes go over the top, then you pick out the final highlights. So it's the same for this one here. So the orange there is Troll Slayer orange. Just painted it over because you've sprayed it white, it goes on nicely. Then the seat here, you see that colour there, that would be corn red there. Hashak copper for all the coppery metallic parts, you can see just in here. There's some further in, a little bit underneath. Then all this area is just your regular black. Painted that all black, and then painted this design on a bit later. Hashak copper here as well. And then the yellow would be Flash Gets Yellow. Again, just paint straight onto the white because you've got that nice foundation. Then you can make any shape you want. I just went for this shape here, just sort of a slender shape with a band of orange running down and black panel either side. I just put a mark there at the tip of the shuriken catapult. You see with the black end, so that's where I start, so make it symmetrical both sides. And then my starting point is just the fold there, and I'll just freehand just run the brush down both sides. Stand back and take a look at it, and your eye will tell you if it's symmetrical or not, and that's it. And then once that line's correct, then just fill that in black and orange, like so. But that gives you just a different shape. I think it's come out quite well. Then I would have put washes. I'll give you some detail here just to, because a lot of people have been asking how do you paint this exact scheme. So washes then would have been some Seraphim Sepia around all of the brass. Then when that dries, I then would have used Agrax Earthshade pretty much across the whole thing. So going over the copper that's already had the Seraphim Sepia, but it gets even stronger when you add the Agrax Earthshade. Agrax Earthshade around all of the armour here, but being careful, I wouldn't put it over the whole of this front because there's no point. I would have kept that quite clean orange. It's less work for you to do because the orange doesn't tend to be a strong pigment, doesn't go over other paints very well. So I try and keep that clean. You just sort of paint round and fill in the details with the wash. Here it's too small and fiddly, so you can just put the wash over the top. Sometimes I use my finger there just to wipe the excess off the top of the plate armour, because if you keep those areas clean and nice and strong and orange, it's going to be a lot less work for you to do when you come back to the orange later on. So you can use a finger just to wipe that down. Just remove any excess of the wash. Just want to fill in the cracks with it. And then it shades the yellow just nicely. And just shades across here, and all the copper and so on is all done. Then once that's all dry, it's Hush That Copper and Runefang Steel just to make a copper highlight. So you do that, that's nice and quick. Here as well, on the tip of the spear. Then just the Troll Slayer Orange again. A couple of coats it takes just to pick that out nice and tidy. Then Troll Slayer Orange and Flash Gets Yellow to do very sharp edging around all of the armour. And then a little bit of Troll Slayer Orange and virtually yellow for a final sort of extreme highlight, just on the extreme corners and so on. And that gives you the effect that you're seeing just there. All the recesses shaded nicely with the Agrax Earthshade. And then all the edges of the armour picked out nicely with that yellow and orange mix. Gems, just the usual way to paint the gems. There is a tutorial for that, how to paint gems. That's on the channel. So red and blue. Then for the helmets, the helmet here would be the Flash Gets Yellow mixed with a little bit of ceramite white, a little bit just to enhance, strengthen it a little bit, and then just repaint, tidy up, and then sort of 50-50 ceramite white and the yellow for an extreme highlight edge. You can see that around the helmet just to enhance that. Then this design here, this sort of flowing flame, paint that white first, nice and tidy. When you're entirely happy with it, then paint it with the Flash Gets Yellow, and then maybe a little bit of white and Flash Gets Yellow just for an extreme highlight. But that's a nice touch that on those spears. Really rate that. It's quite nicely. And I repaint the black just to make it nice and solid, and then just a faint highlight with the black, just using some nicely thinned down Dawnstone paint. And that's it. And then here for the seat would just be the repaint with the corn red, then corn red and some white just for an extreme highlight on that. And that's pretty much how I painted it. So quite straightforward. The orange does take a while, so I haven't really saved a lot of time by choosing orange instead of white. It was hard work as well, but I think worth it. They're very striking sort of colour scheme, something different from the usual white and blue. But anyway, that's how I painted those. And happy enough with the results, and glad to be able to paint those other four to match in pretty good. You know, can't really tell too much difference. That's one of the old ones, that's one of the new, and they match in quite well. Seems that Troll Slayer Orange has changed its tone over the years. You know, these were painted about 5 years ago. These were painted recently, and it seems like the shade has slightly changed, but it's deeper, stronger colour here, a bit more yellow, sort of orange, just there. But it doesn't matter. I think they match in pretty good. So just push those over to the side. Big unit, these Shining Spears. It's quite a display. just there. So I've invested heavily. Others play smaller sizes, smaller sized units. I used to have 5, so my unit would look like that, and then now it's been expanded all the way up to 9. So I've really gone for it here to make these as good as possible. So they have actually gone up in points since chapter approved 2018, just slightly, but still worth it, I reckon. I'll try and show you as many tips as possible. I'll roll up some dice here a bit later as well, just to give you an idea of how they work. So Shining Spears here, power level 5. So movement 16. So immediately these are very, very quick. So you're looking for aggressive play. This is an assault shock based type unit. So doesn't really match a sort of a gunline play style. This is where you're taking the fight to the enemy here. Maybe as a counter-attacking unit by all means, but certainly aggressive style with them. Weapon skill, ballistic skill 3+, strength 3, toughness 4. They do have 2 wounds each, which is great. That really does help them. Couple of wounds. 2 attacks, leadership 8, and a 3-up save. So generally, a Primaris Marine basically on a jet bike, apart from a little bit lacking in strength, but the stat line's virtually the same. But on a jet bike, obviously, it's very, very fast. So decent enough stat line. So you'll pay. They were 18 points, they're now 24, but it's been subsidised with a points reduction. So they're 24 points each. So unit 10 is immediately 240 points. You then pay for taking a laser lance, which is 8 points, so you have to add that on top. So that's 32 points each. They are expensive. And then you also have to pay for a twin shuriken catapult, which is 2 points. It was 5 points, it's come down in cost. So 2 points for that. So yeah, 9 of them is 308 points. It keeps you away from getting miles over 300. I just think 9's nice. It's a good bulky size, but I don't want any more than that. Even if you can take 10, actually. I'm not sure if you can even take 10. No, right, okay. So yes, or up to 6. Yes, 9 is the size. This unit contains 3. Include up to 3 additional Shining Spears, or up to 6. So I have maxed it out. So 9 is the maximum size. So 308 points, including the Star Lance there. Shining Spear Exarch could take the place of 1 Shining Spear. It's a free upgrade. One model is armed with a laser lance, or each model is armed with a laser lance, and their jet bikes and a twin shuriken catapult. The Shining Spear Exarch may replace the laser lance with a Star Lance or a Paragon Saber. So Paragon Saber, I wouldn't bother with this. It's just a power sword. Strength the users, fighting at strength 3. AP -4 and 1 damage, and it's reroll wounds for this weapon. So it's alright, but the Star Lance is much more superior. You can shoot with it, range 6, assault 1, strength 8 -4 and 2 damage, and in assault it fights at strength 8 on the charge, -4 and 2 damage. Superb weapon. And then the laser lance, strength 6, AP -4, 2 damage for a 6-inch range of shooting, and then close combat on the charge as well. So they're armed with incredible melee weapons, but it's sort of a shock value. It's high strength when you charge in, and then you lose the strength, you go down to usual strength, which is strength 3 after that. The great thing about these is they're armed with these lances, but also twin shuriken catapults underneath. Now, each one of these, and it's like a hidden, I say hidden ability, but it's a secondary ability that these guys have, and this is one of the major reasons I took them. That's the ability to clear hordes away as well. You've got twin shuriken catapult, range 12, assault 4, strength 4, -0, 1 damage, and then if you're only 6 pluses to wound, it comes in at AP -3. That's 4 shots each. You know, times 9, 36 shots coming in with them. That's a lot of shots for small arms fight. Plus the lances on top. The model can fire both. You could fire at different targets and so on. So amazing ability that they have. You know, 34 shuriken shots coming in will clear away a lot of infantry in one round of shooting. And if you start enhancing it as well, granting some powers and some rerolls and so on, that firepower can be absolutely deadly. So you know, you've got the potential to fire all the shuriken catapults into one target, fire the laser lances into another, and then charge something else. So they're great for getting stuck in and taking on multiple targets at the same time. Just to mention the Exarch, he really is good. I mean, you get an extra wound. He actually has 3 wounds. I think I forget that most times, but he carries 3 wounds, and he's got 3 attacks as well. That's just 3 upgrades. The Exarch, one of the best Exarchs upgrades out for different aspect warriors there are. So really good, that one. And he comes with an ability as well. Expert Hunter, you reroll wound rolls for Shining Spear Exarch when attacking a monster or vehicle. Yeah, rerolling wounds. So again, very, very, very useful. So the other great thing about these is Aerobatic Grace. Models in this unit have a 4+ invuln save against ranged weapons. So yes, you're trying to close in the range and get to a target. That's when they're vulnerable. But to protect them, there's a 4+ invuln save there to block high caliber shots coming through. So that's very, very useful. And it can be enhanced as well, which is a great thing. Ride like the wind. When this unit advances, you add 6 to its move instead of rolling a dice. You're guaranteed that 6 inches. So you can move potentially 16 plus 6, so 22 inches guaranteed if you wish to move that far in a turn. That's very, very fast around the board. And the great thing about it is you have battle focus, which means you're not going to suffer -1 to firing your assault weapons. You'll still be able to fire your laser lances, star lance, and the twin shuriken catapults, all at the regular effect without minuses. So if you just want to go for shooting for 1 turn and get into something close, then you can do that with an advanced move, and it's still not going to cost you any minuses to hit rolls. So that's superb. You know, their firepower I think is excellent at close range, and then their close combat ability is excellent as well. Plus they're very well protected. That makes for a very, very powerful unit. So I chose, so that's the stat line. I had choice in size. Originally I had 5. I saw this happening time and time again in games. So I'd have 5 like this, and then at 5 at full strength, they're okay. They're pretty good. They'll cause trouble for a vehicle. They'll take on an infantry, like a Space Marine squad, for example, pretty good. What was happening during the game is the opponent would fire at them and cause a couple of casualties, and then maybe 1 more casualty, and I'd be down all of a sudden to unit of 2, and they've lost their impact. So that happened. If you see the different battle reports over and over again, where they start off 5 is okay, but as soon as casualties start coming through for a squad of 5, it really starts to hurt them and they lose their abilities. Then you can end up not bothering with any stratagems because you want to waste points on a very small unit. So I thought, well, if I expand the unit in size, it's going to be harder for the opponent to get them down to a smaller amount. So you could go for 6, but that's not going to make too much difference. I would say if you've got points to spend on other things, 7's a healthy enough number for sure. And then I've gone for 9. So, for example, I take a bad round of shooting and some damage, and I lose 3 bikers. That would have been devastating with the unit 5. But look, the unit of 9, I've still got 6 left. That's still a powerful unit. So, to which them right down, your opponent's got to kill half or more of this squad before they become not too influential on the battlefield. So I think a unit of 9 is a good idea for sure. It also means that when I play stratagems or psychic powers, it's well invested because it's on a big unit. Instead of putting a lot of effort into a couple of models, it's going on an expensive unit that's got a lot of potential to do very well. So it's sort of you're spending your command points, using up your psychic powers on something that's very worthwhile indeed. So it's a good investment. I know it's a bigger unit. I know it's going to get shot at. I've considered the fact that the opponent's going to try and shoot it. So I've gone about different ways of trying to negate that as much as possible. So to enhance these, you'll often see these playing right alongside this guy here. It's Altark Skyrunner. There's already a Tactica video for him. This is sort of the upgrade pack that you get. I think Games Workshop still do it. It'd be in Finecast if they do. But superb model, really happy with him. I painted up in my sort of turquoise colour scheme. Doesn't matter, he hangs around with these guys. And basically it's there for the reroll ones. So if I keep him within 6, and he'll keep up with those same speed from both of these units, if I keep him within 6, he'll grant reroll 1s to hit rolls. So that's for their shooting. Remember, their shooting is really good, but also in close combat as well. So when they reach in close combat, 3s to hit. Rerolling 1s is very, very helpful, especially again for a bigger unit. So you'll see this sort of combination. They act as a shield to protect him, and he can do his own fighting. He's pretty good. Another major symbiosis going on between these two is the relic that I give to this guy. No, it's not a relic. It used to be a warlord trait, but I shifted it. If you can, at the moment, you can go to the index and take a Banshee Mask and give it to the Autarch Skyrunner. And the Banshee Mask prevents Overwatch. So often I'll try and play it so that this guy charges first into a target. He then can't be shot at, no Overwatch allowed. He then gets locked in combat with that target, and that then leaves these free to charge the same target without being overwatched. So for example, I want these to go into a Baneblade, charge him first into Baneblade, Baneblade can't do the Overwatch. Now in base contact, these then charge with no Overwatch. So that is a fantastic combo. Just try to preserve these by making use of him. So the Banshee Mask does it. If that ever changes, there is a Warlord trait as well. And eye on distant events. Enemy units cannot fire Overwatch at your Warlord, so it's there in the Codex as well if you want to play it that way. But it's a superb combination to try and help this Shining Spear unit out. Alright, so we'll roll up some examples soon of how effective they can be. And I'll maybe show you sort of unenhanced. We'll see what happens when we come to it. But I want to show you some ways of enhancing these first of all. So the first thing is stratagems. By all means, if I've missed some Tactica here, or you think there's something that should be included, then leave it in the comments section. Again, if you're watching this video and you want to see more Tactica, no doubt there'll be plenty of comments from experienced Eldar players leaving their own ideas and ways that they play using these. So there might be some Tactica I've missed, or some other clever tricks that you can use to get the most out of these. Yeah, there's some powerful stratagems. The one that you'll see me often using is lightning fast reactions. So before I come to that, actually, I will cover, because this is very important, I'll cover the Craftworld. So for these, I know the opponent's going to shoot at them, so I'm going to try and reduce the effectiveness of the opponent's firepower. So I play these as a Latok. So your opponent must subtract 1 from any hit rolls for attacks that target this unit at a range of more than 12 inches. So at 12 inches or more, the opponent's on -1 to the hit rolls to shoot at them. So a Lehman Russ is going to fire its heavy weapons, needs 5s will get hits instead of 4s. Massive difference. So that helps. Now to stratagems. When I know I'm going to get shot at, say it's turn 1. Turn 2, I'm expecting a lot of firepower. Some firepower starts to come in. I then play lightning fast reactions. It is 2 command points, but again, it's being well spent because the unit's nice and big. Use the stratagem of friendly Asuryani infantry or friendly Asuryani unit with the fly keyword, as those, is chosen as a target of an enemy attacking the shooting phase. Subtract 1 from all hit rolls that target that unit for the rest of the phase. So then the opponent's all of a sudden got, if they're over 12 inches away, -1. And a further -1 to the hit rolls. So a Lehman Russ tank over 12 inches away all of a sudden needs 6s just to get hits against those. So all of a sudden with a stratagem and a Craftworld, you've made a target that's very difficult to hit. So that's really helpful. Really helpful. And then also for rerolls, say you've got the Gilliman combo, or different combos going on with the opponents doing rerolls. Let's say you've got Gilliman next to Predator, and it's going to fire his laser cannons. So the way that you play it, as has been pointed out to me, let's say I've played -1 to the hit rolls, it's a Latok, and I played lightning fast reactions, so it's -2 to all the hit rolls. So let's say, I mean I've rolled these naturally, let's say you've got 2 6s, a 3 and a 4, like so. You then do rerolls before modifiers. You start needing 3s to hit with this Predator, so those all count as hits. Here you've got a 3, a 4 and 2 6s. So then you then apply your modifiers, and it's -2 to the hit rolls, so then it would be 5s would be hits, so actually those become misses at that point. So it can be really frustrating for armies and units that have reroll abilities because it's rerolls before modifiers. So all the rerolling's done, and then the modifiers kick in. You can find a whole load of shots have actually missed, and you're not allowed to reroll them because the rerolls before modifiers. It's an important thing, especially for Eldar, when you start stacking up loads of minuses to the hit rolls. So there's that one. This one here, which I've hardly ever used, but it's on standby because it's so useful. Feigned Retreat, 2 command points. Use a stratagem on a Suriana unit from your army that falls back. That unit can still shoot and charge this turn. So your opponent might try and be clever and say, right, I'm just going to stay in combat with these just to try and pin them down. But you're able to play this. You can pull back, and for these, remember, it's 16 inches. You can relocate, still shoot and still charge for 2 command points. Exceptionally powerful when played on a unit like that. So Feigned Retreat is a superb one. Really, really good. You got Supreme Disdain. So any 6+ for hit rolls. You get an extra attack. That may be useful if you want to try and max out as much as possible the number of attacks that you're getting. There's Fire and Fade. I don't really use that on those, but it's available. You can shoot and immediately pull away 7 inches. That's available as well. As long as if I'm worried that these are going to be shot up, perhaps turn 1, and depending on who you're playing against, you know there's shots going to be coming in. Then you can play Web Wave Strike and bring them in by Deep Strike instead. There's only 1 command point just to keep those off the table turn 1, for example. I haven't really used that for those. And yes, another one that I use, just checking here. Yeah, it's this one here, Phantasm, which was pointed out to me a while ago. 2 command points. Use this strategy at the start of the first battle round before the first turn has begun. So you know the game's started, you know who's going first. Then just as you're about to begin, this is when you play this card. Pick up to 3 Assyrian units from your army that are on the battlefield. You immediately remove these units from the battlefield and set them up as described in the deployment section of the mission you're playing. So, for example, you've set these up in an aggressive way. They're right at the very edge of your deployment zone, ready to move out against the target. They're all lined up, ready to go, and then the worst thing happens. You're going second, and your opponent's got all his guns pointed at that target. And you think, despite all the minuses to hit, you're in big trouble. Or you might be worried your opponent's going to get an early charge in with another unit. You play Phantasm, remove them, maybe pick him up with them as well. And sometimes units like the Wraith Knight as well, maybe he's going to be in trouble. Pick them up, take them off the board, and then relocate them somewhere else, because these can move so quick they can move in later on. So you've got that strategic relocation that's available as well to keep them safe. It's just all these little Eldar tricks, and if you stack them all up, it just makes it more and more difficult to try and deal with these. And the longer these can survive, and the longer they can stay at decent strength, then the higher the chances the Eldar will do well in the game. It's a sort of investment, one investment after the other stacked up, just to try and make these as good as possible. So that's just half the benefits here. The other half is psychic abilities that can enhance these and make them even better. So I've gone down that route as well. So first is from the Runes of Fate. This is your Farseer here. I take Eldrad, he can dish out 3 powers. I've done a tactical video on him. He's there to help these guys out. I take Doom. So you choose a target in range 24, and it's reroll wounds against that target to the next phase. So that'll be if they go after that target for shooting and for close combat. So Doom's a massive thing. Maybe you're charging these in against a tank, it's toughness 8, your strength 6, 5s to win. But if you're able to reroll all of those, thanks to Doom, that enhances them incredibly. So that is really, really good. Then Guide as well. Choose a unit within 24, your own unit, so you choose them, keep them within range 24, which is a good range, and then grant them the ability to re-roll all of their shots for ranged weapons. Again, very, very reliable indeed. Then the other one's Fortune. These are the 3 that I take, and obviously I could be using them different units, but Fortune, I usually put it on the Wraith Knight, but I'm going to put it on them. If it goes off, wounds that come through against these are ignored on a 5+, so it's pretty useful. 5+ is to ignore wounds come through, it'll enhance those, but usually I put that power, that'll be on the Wraith Knight to try and protect him, but it's available. So those 3, all 3 of those are very, very beneficial to those Shining Spears. Then on to Spirit Seer Warlock powers, Runes of Battle. So these are massive ones here. Conceal, Reveal, but I play Conceal, and it's usually on these. Choose a friendly Assyrian Suriani infantry or biker unit within 18 of the psyker, your opponent must subtract 1 from all hit rolls for ranged weapons that target the unit until the next psychic phase. So you really could stack it up. Elator -1, lightning fast reactions -1, and conceal -1. So now all of a sudden your standard lean Russ, I don't think he's even allowed to shoot at them at -3 unless he gets help from something else. Or a predator that's sitting there on 3s to hit becomes 6s to hit. It's terrifying stuff potentially. So a little power there that can come from a little warlock nearby, or a spirit seer, and knocks a further -1 to the hit rolls. There's also enhance is pretty good. You can add 1 to the hit rolls in the fight phase. That's really cool. That's a good one. And then protect and jinx. So protect, choose a friendly Suriani infantry or bike unit within 18. Add 1 to their saving throws, and it is saving throws as in their armor and their invuln save. So they're going up to a 2-up save and then a 3+ invuln save for ranged attacks coming in. And 3+ invuln save is amazing. You've got a command reroll on standby. That's a superb way of protecting those. So very hard to hit, very well protected with their armor. So that one's excellent. And the other one's more of a tactical use for getting them into combat, and that's quicken. Choose a friendly Suriani infantry or bike unit within 18. That unit can immediately move as if it were the movement phase. So imagine you've gone 16-inch move, and then technically you can go another 16 inches. So you've got 32-inch move in total, and you're still shooting and charging at the end of it. That's quite incredible. Really is amazing. So it really is good. So, you know, because you don't want them hanging around being shot at, you want them in and doing something quickly. So the ability to move very fast, to get into position, to shoot and charge and so on is good news for those. So, you know, all these psychic powers here are a massive boost to them. So I've been thinking, you know, instead of a small unit, spending all that effort on a small unit, why not take a big unit, but make the effort to protect it and enhance it as much as possible, get the most out of it, and it's the best investment for your psychic powers and rerolls and stratagems and so on. So it's being well spent because the unit's so big. So that's the philosophy. That's the major reasons why I've gone for a bigger unit of them. And yes, as I said at the start, the opponent is going to shoot at them for sure, but because you've stacked up all this stuff, it's just going to be a black hole for all of this effort going in, and it's all just being absorbed by this unit here. And at the end of it, you can have a unit like of these that's still in pretty good shape, and the opponent's just fired the entire army at them and hasn't done too much. So that's the kind of idea. And whilst they're busy firing at these, they're not firing at other stuff. But the tricky bit is getting the charge right. When do I charge? Do I charge now? Charge at the heart of the enemy. I'm going to get counterattacks. If they get counterattacked, they don't get the invuln save. They're vulnerable at that point. If they're charged, they're only on strength 3. So that's where they've got to be careful. So is it a target you can wipe out? Is there any reserves? Is there any countermeasures that can be taken? Is it all weighing up that as much as possible? Maybe with a target you might want to move in, offload and fire, and then pull out again with fire and fade. You know, just cautiously going in, causing damage without getting too far committed into the fight and finding yourself in massive trouble. Getting countercharged and taken out. You've got to be. These are good, but they're certainly not units to be thrown away or used recklessly. It's got to be timed and used correctly. So really think carefully about how you're going to use them, but not to the point where you're wasting them, not chucking them into the fight, but just being wise as possible. So what we'll do now, I've got a few examples of how we can play these here, just to illustrate what they can do. So we'll use 1, 2 rhinos and a tactical squad. You say, well, why are you putting 3 units out? It's because I want these shining spears to destroy all 3 of these units in one turn, if possible. And you say, well, that's not possible, but it is. They are good enough to do it. So let's say I've gone 16 inches up the table. These have come swooping in. The first thing I figure out, right, who am I going to try and destroy with shooting? Who am I going to charge? So I reckon I'm going to shoot those with the twin shuriken catapults, and then I'm going to shoot this one with the spears, and then charge that one in close combat and try and deal with it that way. So the priority then is to make sure I get all of the spears in range of this guy for shooting, and then miles in range to the 12 inches just there. So I'm going to go something like this. We'll get the X arc near the front as well. And the key is to get all those spears into range 6. Now I may not be able to do it here, so I'll line these up as best as I can and see what's possible. If I can't do it, some of them are going to have to shoot somewhere else, but they're going like that. He'll be up here like this. Let's say he's gone to, say, yeah, swing him round. We'll put him in there. I think I might need to mop them up so he could go in and do that, something like that. Because I'm not too worried about the overwatch coming from these rhinos. So, I mean, it looks impressive. It really does look good. So 6 inches, yes, yes, and yes. They're all in, which is good news. So we'll do the alt-arc here with his shot. Hits. I'm going to add no powers to this at all. 3's to wind, yes. Strength 8, toughness 7. So that's gone through. AP -4 and straight 2 damage. So no save at all. And immediately knocking some damage off of that. 2 wounds straight away. Like so, 8. Then we'll go for the other 8. Like so. I've got the X-Arc nearby so I can re-roll the ones. Now that's a pretty good example of the X-Arc helping out. So you re-roll the ones, just got himself 2 more hits. 5's to wound though. Yeah, this is exactly what can happen in the game. So that is 5 goes straight through, that's 10 wounds. So target destroyed. We'll say it doesn't explode, we'll just roll over. But target eliminated. Then this guy may as well put his shots into here. So we'll do the X-Arc now. He'll be on 2s to hit, re-rolling 1s. 4's to wound, and a save. Foul, so 1 marine brought down. Laser lance, hits, wounds, and a kill. Then shuriken catapults from all of these. So it's going to be 36 shots in total. So I'm not sure if I've got enough using my tau dice here. 36 shots in total. So that's 25. And 30. I'll do 30 for now. So that's not all on camera, there's a couple of dice, so just roll that. So just do those. I'm going to re-roll the 1s because of the alt-arc nearby. See how useful he is, look, generated all those extra hits. I'll take the misses away here, and that gives me 5. Just need to have 1 more dice here. Rerolling 1s. Yep, and then to make this 36, 1 more. Rerolling 1s and missed. Alright, so that's the total number of hits. This Marine squad is in big trouble here. 4's for wounds. So what we've got here is some 6's, and a load of 4's. Maybe we'll get the wipeout here that we're looking for. Imagine if this was a cheap guardsman squad, it'd be on 3's to wound. Even Marines, you know, causing a lot of trouble. These need 6's to save, none. So 4 Marines gone from that squad. And then here is regular armor saves of 3+. Now the squad survived. 2 more slain, so that's all the Marines gone, and just those 2 just left there. But that squad's been decimated by that firepower. So look, this is just the firepower so far, and you've got that kind of situation. So more than halfway through the overall objective. Alright, so then looking at the damage that's been done during the shooting phase, I'll elect to charge him into there. So 9 inches, remember no overwatch. Useful guy for going in, and I think he'll deal with those alright. And even if he doesn't, he's silenced them at least for next turn, and then I'll swing those into there. So a little bit of overwatch here. Hit comes through, foul to win, and then just in they go. So again, we'll roll the range, see how far they go. So 11 inches, I can swarm all the way around the vehicle. Sometimes you might want to do that. You can swarm around, lap rounds. If you don't destroy the target, it's sort of stuck in with the bikers as well. And that could be a trick. I thought of this the other day. It could be a trick for keeping these protected during the opponent's shooting phase when it comes around to their turn. Because say you, on your turn, you charge into target and you don't destroy it, but because you lap around it, so it's a big dreadnought or something, or a big vehicle or a tank, if you lap all the way around, because I've got enough inches to do that, and the target survives, the target can't get out, which means it stays locked in combat, which means the opponent cannot shoot at those during their turn. So that's sort of a way that you can potentially protect these from enemy shooting, by staying locked in forcing a unit to remain locked in combat with you by lapping around. And it could be the same from the regular infantry as well that can't jump or fly, same kind of thing, or a monster, for example. So, and look, I've kept him, so always got to keep that in the back of your mind as well. Keep him always within 6 inches of this unit to grant the reroll benefits to them as well. So we'll let the Autarch fight here. Again, rerolling ones. He's got his hits. 3s for wounds. Yeah, those 2. And it's -4, 2 damage. So it's a wipe out there on that squad. You're just cutting through stuff. It is terrifying. Then these in close combat. The we'll do the Exarch here as separate dice. So here's 3, and then the other 8. So it's 8, another 8 because they're 2 attacks each. So, and again, I play this with no enhancements. Remember, no psychic powers buffing these up like guide and doom and so on. So remember, that's all those benefits on top. Also, so looking for 3s, but I can reroll these ones. Generates another hit. We'll take all those away. And we're looking for 3s with the dark red dice and 5s with the rest. Oh, terrible. But no, not almost. Almost destroy the targets. Almost got the wipeout after there. So those all go through. Remember, they're all -4, so they go straight through the armour, and they're 2 damage a time. So 8 damage. So that Rhino has 2 wounds left. That was a pretty poor roll, but you've wrecked that vehicle. It's in serious trouble, and it's now surrounded and doomed just there. So pretty good. And remember, if I'd have found any of those for the Exarch, it's reroll wounds against vehicles and monsters. So he's pretty useful there, that strength 8 lance. So I hope that's illustrated for you the potential of these. That's like a big chunk of an army there. 2 transport vehicles and a full strength marine squad, and dealt with, I have to say, very easily there. It didn't last too long at all. Remember, that's 2 damage, so you know, if that was Primaris Marines, you'd be hacking through them just as easy as regular Marines as well. So it's frightening, the potential that these Shining Spears have. But it's at that size. You know, if that was a squad of 5, I could have gone for all 3 of those targets and been as effective. But because they're so big, they've been able to lunge into all these targets and virtually wipe out that whole chunk of resistance. You know, if that was timed well and you positioned well, so there's not much threat around here to counterattack, and you choose a target well, they could just destroy that, push it out of the way, and then just protect themselves during the opponent's shooting phase, you know, all the minuses to hit and so on, and then just swing out and attack something else and just go on the rampage. So deadly unit. So that's pretty much all the tactics that I can think of, and I've given you an idea of my composition of this unit, how I plan to use them in games. You can keep a look out in the battle reports, see how well they do, see the tactics I've talked about here being used, see how effective it is against the different factions and different types of units, and so on. But this is the critical unit here for this Eldar army, so you know, keep an eye on them. If they do well in a game, you should see the Eldar doing well. If they get cut out quite quick and cut down, however that's done, you know, mortal wounds could be an issue for these. There's not much protection against that kind of thing. Then the Eldar will not be doing well. If they're dealt with quite quick, my Eldar army will probably be in pretty big trouble. But there it is. That's the tactics and showcase video for Shining Spears. Check out the comment section below. See what other people have said, different tactics and so on. And then if you want to see loads of battle reports, then there's the battle reports here on YouTube, and then the battle reports also on the Plus channel as well, where there's loads of exclusive content there as well. There it is. That's the tactics video for Shining Spears. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time.